Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Today we will discuss about financial literacy, the importance of financial literacy for an entrepreneur and the details of financial literacy. What is financial literacy? So this is an important factor which decides the future of any business and the knowledge of the entrepreneur. So I am coming up with many videos. Please subscribe the channel if you are for the first time with my channel. Thank you. We know what is literacy. Literacy is the minimum knowledge required to read and write some letters and all these things in our language. So what is financial literacy? Financial literacy is similar to literacy. Financial literacy is to learn how to understand the accounting system, how to understand what is account, how the account is done, and how to understand how to read the financial documents which are prominent in a business. In a business like balance sheet, profit and loss account, income statement, expenditure statement, income and expenditure, and the ratio analysis, and the growth analysis and the valuation of the company, break-even analysis, etc. So how it is important? The financial literacy, for example, accounting. When you are coming to accounting is required. An entrepreneur should understand what his clerk is doing in the accounting, and the entry given by the clerk as a voucher in the system, in the ERP. The clerk may not understand what is the importance of the entry he is giving in the system, but the entrepreneur should understand where it is going to reflect in the balance sheet and the profit and loss account and other financial documents, because ultimately whoever he have an accountant in his office, and he has an auditor and a chartered accountant signs his document, whatever. Ultimately, he is going to be responsible for all the financial documents produced by him and all the compliances produced by him in front of the authorities under the government and under the regional authorities. So it is important for the entrepreneur to understand what is the meaning of accounting and how it is accounted, and where do the vouchers and the entries reflect in the financial documents filed throughout the year or at the end of the year. Normally, entrepreneurs don't take that effort because they think that we are having accountants with us. What is the use of doing so? Why should? For example, when we are accounting a small expense, with the accounting clerk should understand whether it is an expense to write off, or it is an asset which has to be added to the assets of the company. So it's a small example. Now we'll see what is a balance sheet and what is a profit and loss account, and what is the difference between a balance sheet and a profit and loss account. A balance sheet is a document which shows as the name mentions, it is a document which shows the balance of the company, what is the net balance of the company, what the assets they are having in hand, and what are the liabilities they are having in hand. On the right side, we will list down the assets of the company, including the receivables, including the land and machinery and everything, factory, vehicles, everything. And in the left side, we will list out the liabilities of the company to pay to the creditors and all the other liabilities with the companies like loans and all these things will be listed in the liability side. So by seeing the financial document balance sheet, a person can understand where the company is standing now, what is the status of the company, how much they have assets, how strong their asset side is, and how weak their liability side is. And there are ratios and percentages of the balance between assets and liabilities, and that makes the importance of the financial document called balance sheet. And another one is the profit and loss account. Profit and loss account is the yearly statement of the income and the expenditure of the company, the cash flow in and the cash flow out, the expenses happened and the income. And by balancing that, by tallying that, we'll understand what is the net profit and gross profit of the company, how the profitability came to the company, and how much we are making money from the operations. That is the importance of profit and loss account. So the understanding these documents, this is not only documents we are having, but many other documents maintained throughout the era, throughout the running of the company. And the company, the entrepreneur requires to know what is the effect and what is the importance of all these documents in his business, so that he can understand the business well and run the business well and grow the business accordingly, as per the norms, as per his expectations. If he is not able to understand financial documents, if he is not able to read financial documents, he will not only not understanding the company, he cannot understand the company, cannot understand the growth, cannot understand the financial situation, but also he'll end up in a severe legal problem. He may also end up in severe legal problems related to the compliances to the government, and it may be considered only as the failure of the entrepreneur himself, the promoter himself. No one else is going to take the responsibility of the failures happening due to the lack of knowledge of the entrepreneur in reading the financial documents. Financial documents, reading the financial documents is important. For example, when we are filing to the income tax or any other tax department of the government, so we give the document signed, audited by the auditor, the chartered accountant, and signed by the chartered accountant. But if it is going legal and the government is giving a notice to us, the IT department is giving a notice to us, the auditor will say that I prepared these documents according to the documents produced before me. I am not responsible for any of the discrepancies in the financial document, and we will end up in trouble, because the entrepreneur is responsible for producing any documents to the auditor, for getting it audited. And if he would say that I have been given a doctored statement, so that I produce this statement accordingly. I am not responsible for any of the mistakes in the document, because I am doing a scientific accounting job. I am not doing any business in this matter. So how to understand the severity, how to understand the problems related to this this knowledge, this literacy of financial documents or financial literacy, how much it is important for the entrepreneur to know about the financial literacy. So we will see it with a case study. As you know, case study is a very effective tool for the learning of management programs, management education. And by a case study, a famous case study in India, we will understand how important is financial literacy for an entrepreneur to run his business, to file the compliances required for the company to the government, IT department and other departments, other industrial departments. So let us see how it is important and how it will work for the entrepreneur. I went through many documents, many cases inside India and outside India to understand, to present in front of you about the financial literacy cases, the judgments and other cases about the financial literacy. But I think it is apt to present in front of you the case of Ramalinga Raju, Mr. Ramalinga Raju, the owner, the promoter of Satyam Infotech. It was a famous case during the early 2000s, and it has to be presented in front of you with the due details, as you will understand what will be the importance of financial literacy in the life, in the business life of a entrepreneur, so that you can understand the importance of having financial literacy, and you will start learning about the financial literacy and understand the financial documents for your company to escape from the legal issues which may happen to you in later years. So when we grow, it is very, very important for the entrepreneur to understand the financial documents, and I will tell you about the story of the case study of Satyam Infotech in India. First of all, as a background, we'll see the financial recession happened during the period of the end of 2007 and the beginning of 2008 globally. All the global companies suffered, including the America's insurance chain AIG suffered, Australian companies, and all the companies all around the world suffered. Only India and China escaped. China was the only country who did not have any big effect, even though they lost a lot of orders abroad. Even the local people in China, they lost businesses. They did not have a big impact on the recession on the economy of China. At the same time, when all the banks all around the world suffered, the Indian banks survived because the system of lending in India was entirely different from America and Europe and other Western countries. Indian banks, they used to lend only with the availability of strong collateral security and four-layer security system. The Indian banks considered the income to return the money as the primary collateral, and the secondary collateral as the landed property or other assets of the company or the individual. So once the money was not coming in, it was easy for them to attach the properties, and the Indian real estate did not sink because of the banking system in India. So Indian companies and Indian banks survived, but and at the same time, Dr. Manmohan Singh, he was a legend in economy, and he introduced many schemes in India to flood money to the market and bring the money to the hands of the common man of India, so that the Indian companies and the Indian industries survived the recession of 2008. But what happened? The IT segment in India started in the early 90s after the open economy introduced by P.V. Narasimha Rao in India in 1991. So they started, a lot of companies started, including Infosys, Tata, and Wipro, and all these companies. Along with that, one of the main companies starting during those times was in the year 1987, an entrepreneur from Hyderabad called Mr. Ramalinga Raju, along with his own brother Ram Raju. They started an industry called Satyam Infotech in India, and Satyam was so fortunate to grow along with the opportunities received by Indian companies during the age of open economy and the age of IT boom in India. So these companies, they started growing very well, and the Satyam Ramalinga Raju, they started with the internet providing services and hardware supply services, and they did a lot of job along with the in the starting, and they established them by the end of 1990s. They established them as the well-known brand in India to do the IT work for the global giants, MNCs all over the world. So what happened during the, as I mentioned earlier, during the economic recession in the 2007 and 2008, most of the Indian companies and the Indian banks survived the economic recession. But what happened? The Satyam Infotech suffered that recession because all the major clients of all the IT companies in India were from America and from the European countries, and all their masters, the people who were giving business to Indian IT companies, they were suffering the financial recession, the global recession, and accordingly the orders were down and the payments were down for the companies. The performance of the companies were coming down, including Infosys and Wipro. They were suffering at that time. Along with those giants, Ramalinga Raju was also suffering. The financial recession happened in the Europe and America, all the Western economies. So when we say about Ramalinga Raju started Satyam Infotech in Hyderabad with 20 employees, and by about after 5 years they have become a 500 people company and the top 500 Ratna companies in India. So they started enjoying their services, and they were growing like nothing, becoming the Fortune 500 company in India. They have been added as the fourth largest after Tata, Wipro and Infosys, the biggest IT companies in India at that time. So Ramalinga Raju was enjoying a big business, and it was a public limited company, and the SEBI had a lot of restrictions on them, and the demand was high because the share prices will go down if the company has no business during the lower business during the recession time. It has become a pressure on the chairman and the other top management of the company. So now we are discussing about the fall of the 200 billion company and the scam which was exposed by the SEBI, Securities of India, in the year early 2009. The filing of their annual reports for the year 2008, which was scamful and was exposed by the government of India in the year 2009. So what happened? As I told you, it had a humble start with 20 employees, and they grew like nothing throughout from the year 1987 to the year 2008. They grew well. But the recession in the first half of 2007, it caused a lot of difficult problems for the company to face, and the company dipped about 25% in their annual sales, and it was not the management was not able to afford that, because it would reduce the prices of the shares in the market and would create a mess for the company in future. The company was a $2 billion company, and the company got the Mayura Award for being a best Ratna company in India. And in the year 2008, they faced a recession because of the problems caused by the takeover of Matsya, the another real estate company owned by Ramalinga Raju and his brother. That was the main problem started, and I will explain how they failed with the scam and how they were not able to explain with the SEBI and ended up in jail for the owner of the company, Mr. Ramalinga Raju. So during the filing of the annual papers compliance for the year 2008 filed during the time 2009, Ramalinga Raju raised the documents by the turnover has been raised with 7,000 crores, and the annual profits were hiked by 97%, and the turnover was hiked by 75%. So it was in India, the compliances were happening normally for small firms like that. Small firms, they used to boost. So Satyam was a booming company, and Ramalinga Raju has raised funds from the American stock markets and European stock markets, and that was not also enough for him for his greedy attempt to the business, and he was employing fake employees in his company. He was making a list of employees and giving salaries to them and adjusting the money in the black money system and money laundry system, and he was doing all these type of financial issues inside the company, which was caught in the year 2009. As I explained earlier, he raised his turnover by 75%, and he raised his profits by 95% to show to the stock market, the SEBI, that the company is doing fine and the company is running in good profits. But it backfired, and it was caught by the SEBI in the year 2009. So Satyam was a booming company, and Ramalinga Raju has raised funds from the American stock markets and European stock markets, and that was not also enough for him for his greedy attempt to the business, and he was employing fake employees in his company. He was making a list of employees and giving salaries to them and adjusting the money in the black money system and money laundry system, and he was doing all these type of financial issues inside the company, which was caught in the year 2009. As I explained earlier, he raised his turnover by 75%, and he raised his profits by 95% to show to the stock market, the SEBI, that the company is doing fine and the company is running in good profits. But it backfired, and it was caught by the SEBI in the year 2009. It was proved that he withdrew a sum of about $3 million every month as the salaries of the employees which did not exist. A fake employee salary monthly, 3 million from the company, and that also created a mess for him. So where did all the money go? In the year 2003, he invested heavily when it was the real estate boom and the IT market boom in Hyderabad. He invested in real estate in his company called Mitas, which was doing well in the starting, and he invested in real estate. All the money he has earned, billions of dollars he earned from the all these fake employee accounts and all these accounts, and he was investing in that company. Later in the year 2008, he forced the board of directors of the Satyam Infotech to take over the company called Mitas, which was operating in real estate in that Andhra Pradesh area. So by taking over the Mitas and other companies, Satyam Infotech couldn't afford to go through a loss in their company, and they forced their auditors, PricewaterhouseCoopers, to manipulate the accounts, and they gave fake account statements to the PricewaterhouseCoopers and manipulated the financial documents filed in front of the government of India in the year 2009, the financial records for the year 2008. So Ramalinga Raju was taken to the court, and he was imprisoned and was taken to the court. And the PricewaterhouseCoopers informed the court that they are not responsible for these financial transactions, and they audited the company accounts according to the documents produced in front of them, and they are not they rejected any responsibility on the financial scam happened through the accounts of the year 2008, ended 2008. So while Ramalinga Raju was imprisoned and he was put in jail, Ramalinga Raju informed the court that I am a IT professional and I am not having sufficient information about the financial documents, or I don't have financial literacy. That is a point we are discussing now. I don't have sufficient financial literacy to understand the documents, and my auditors are responsible for filing all the documents in front of the IT Department of India. But the court and the water coopers, they informed the court that they audited the documents according to the documents produced in front of them. So there was a conflict, and Ramalinga Raju was imprisoned for 7 years in the year of 2007. So the court observed that even though it is a crime to not to have financial literacy, and if you are skipping from the law, saying that I am not informed about the law, I don't have literacy about the law, it is not according to the standards. And if you are operating a company, you should know the law of the land and the compliances of the land. There is no escape from any law if you are not aware of the law. Any criminal action cannot be done saying that I am not aware of the law and I want to escape from the law. That is not possible. And Ramalinga Raju was put in jail for 7 years from the year 2011. So this is a case we have to verify what is the effect of financial education, financial literacy for an entrepreneur in the modern age of business operation. We should understand where all the entries in the account, from the accounts itself, where the entries are projecting in the balance sheet and profit and loss account. And for example, you are spending on something, and you are entering the expense document. So if it is considered an expenditure, it is a liability going to the profit and loss account. It is considered, it will reduce your profit. But at the same time, if it is an investment, it will project in the balance sheet as an asset which can be reclaimed later, liquid asset, and that can become an asset for the company. Instead of becoming a liability, the expense, it will become an asset for the company in return. So there is a difference, and all these differences should be known to the entrepreneur. Entrepreneur should understand the effect of such things in the business, and along with the marketing. And even though I understand that marketing is the sole important function of an entrepreneur, raising fund is the most important function of the entrepreneur. And if he is able to raise funds for the company sufficiently when it is needed, and if he can do sufficient networking and marketing for the company to generate funds for the company, like revenue model for the company, he can become a successful entrepreneur. But being a successful entrepreneur, it is required to maintain the success for him, and for maintaining the success for the entrepreneur, it is required for him to understand the financial literacy, the financial documents and all these things, the compliance required for the government, including the compliance with the register of companies and other compliances, tax compliances, GST compliances, and IT compliances, everything. So if he is not having sufficient knowledge about these compliances and the financial literacy, he may end up in severe legal problems in the court and end up in the jail too. So Ramalinga Raju has become a classic example for this, and we can take this as an example to frame our knowledge and about the business and how to take the business along to a rightful future for us.